You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Grey's Anatomy After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Grey's Anatomy After Show.
Yes. It never fails. I love it. Nobody knows where we might end up.
Do the remix. Do it.
This is awesome. Oh.
Okay, not that. None of that.
See what that is?
He's waiting for it.
Never know.
Okay.
That's how we roll. Being it for doing, we are back. The Grey's Anatomy After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. Hello, world. Jason Carter in the hot seat. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Julie Partin.
And I'm Kellie.
And sorry about last week. I was injured. I couldn't be here.
Injured is an understatement.
Yeah,
Jason was near paralyzed, couldn't walk, and has to have a surgery soon.
I know.
He's having a surgery in the off season. We're super sad, but glad it's in the off season.
Yes, I scheduled it because I did not want to be away from our Grays fans.
Yes.
Yes,
We
our
missed
AfterBuzz.
you guys last
We
week.
did. We did. We were tweeting each other like, "Oh my God, did you guys watch?" I, for one, was in tears last week. No, I wasn't. I was going to say that, but I was in tears. But last week was a great episode. We got to recap 2 episodes this week, so let's jump to it. The interns were the stars of last week's show, right?
Yes.
And I'm so glad because me and Kellie were not feeling them at the beginning of the season, you know. And fair enough, the way they were introduced and the way it came about, it was just to want to be, you know, the earlier seasons of Grey's. But now we have a whole new love and appreciation for these people, especially after tonight. And one of the things I was really, really impressed with was the writing in last week's show because like I said, we got to get more in depth with them and actually find out their backstories, especially Jo about her being an orphan, and you know, Karev thinking that she was this, you know, princess. She had this nice Tag Heuer watch on or whatever, Michael Kors watch, and she was a spoiled princess. But at the end of the show, we got to realize that no, that's far from the truth.
That to me was a little too reminiscent of Izzy.
You think?
I definitely feel like they were trying to make her the new Izzy.
Remember, I said that in the very beginning when we were first introduced to her. That's what I thought too, is that she was going to be the new Izzy.
I thought she was going to be the new Meredith because they were showing her journey as an intern similar to Meredith at the beginning, but when she had the crazy backstory, remember because Izzy was trailer trash, but everybody thought that she was a princess too.
Right.
So that I didn't love that turn of events that much. I am glad we got to know her a little bit better though.
But I think it was also kind of a camaraderie between Karev and her because he had such a tough upbringing that he's always trying to overcome with given that hard edge that he has.
Yeah.
So he always has to be, you know, has that really sharp tongue and doesn't have feelings about anything because of the way that he grew up. So I thought that was maybe going to bring them a little closer, which I think it did until she just kind of freaked out.
Yeah, one of the best. Do you guys think that a lot of the interns are being paired with attendings that kind of fit them, like maybe Edwards with Yang because they're kind of similar, both very dry, very nerdy? Because when we first met Cristina Yang in season 1, she wasn't as boisterous and as full of personality as she is now. She was very demure and quiet, and not quiet, but just cold and very guarded. And so is this Edwards character a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely loved it when they started pairing the original interns with attendees, and I think this is going to be interesting to see. And you know what I always thought was really, really exciting was to see what specialty they would choose.
Yeah. And another thing about the interns that was kind of weird is they always have the one that's kind of off her rocker. I think her name is Heather. Where she was with
the one that's obsessed with Karev and then that was like sabotaging the surgeries last week.
And the wheelchair. Kind of crazy.
I'm not a fan of her really in any way.
And I go off an aesthetic, and you know, all the interns are kind of cute in their own way, you know, kind of sexy. Even Edwards with the glasses, she's cute in her own way, but this other one is just so random. And there's Leah too with the face.
Oh wait, yeah.
Wait, I think you guys are talking about two
We
different.
are. We're talking about different ones. Okay.
You're talking about the little goofy one that says random
I like the little goofy one. I don't like the taller one.
Leah's the taller one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Heather's the
don't like Leah.
I don't
Do
really-
like Heather.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Leah either. I think that's a little bit of a play on Christina's character.
Sure.
Because of the feeling very competitive, But the thing too, in the end of the last episode, when they got banned from the OR after basically almost killing a patient, she was crying at her locker.
You're right.
And that didn't fit really with,
She's nuts. She feels unstable. I don't think having that kind of emotional issues already, I don't think she'd be a good doctor.
Yeah, red flags like Leah, right?
Well, because Edwards was trying to console her, really did feel for what she had to do, having to tell, we had the patients in the last episode too. It was a lot of good patient stories that you would appreciate when I was watching it. Because you have the two babies that both need a heart, and Edwards had to kind of tell one parent they get it, the other parent didn't, and that was kind of tough on her. And she was expressing her feelings, and Leah just kind of was like, oh, good job to steal my surgery.
Yeah.
And
What
it
a
was
bitch.
Yeah, Leah, and then, so the two main things we've seen from her character are totally inconsistent.
Yeah.
Because one time she can't even focus on her career because she's so obsessed with this guy that slept with her and didn't call her back. The next episode, she's so obsessed, she's ruining other people's careers and almost killing patients.
Yeah.
Inconsistencies we cannot have on this show.
No.
One of the things I liked about last week's episode too was that it was reminiscent of A Hard Day's Night, which was the first episode of Grey's, the premiere episode, where they talked about not sleeping and we also got to see their mentors in action. Kellie, you're talking about the whole freezing and the whole
They were talking about the hospital being like a fairy tale.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what they were looking for, because when you're a doctor, you want the worst case scenario to walk in the door because you want to fix it, especially when you're learning and you don't quite get it. Yeah. and that's what I think they were going through. And as I was watching that episode, it was honestly kind of annoying me a little bit to see the kind of, when they did the slow-mo and it was like they were zoning out and not paying attention and they snapped back to it. I got annoyed after the third one of that. But then at the end, it kind of all came around and I understood why they did that, because when they all have that moment together, when they see our old interns that we know them as come in and they're like these hardcore, real doctors now.
Yeah.
And they say, I can't believe they used to be us.
Exactly.
So
and
good.
I love that.
Yeah.
And one of the things about the interns I'm also adoring is that they're not completely clueless. They're very quick-witted and they're on it, and they're not. The only reason why people think they're dumb is because their attendings are calling them dumb, because they're already classifying them as being, you guys are 007s, but they're really brilliant people. And the way their writing is on Grey's this season, the way their characters are being intermingled with the attendings, it's genius. They could have their storylines are just as entertaining, sometimes more entertaining than the veterans on the show.
Yeah.
It's some of the stories with Meredith and Calzona and Crowan and Japril are just kind of like, oh, okay, well, it's more of the same. I'm kind of really digging the interns now.
When they've said they can't believe they used to be us, and then they just had this whole episode about them and building them, I thought maybe Grey isn't on its last leg, because they're really building up these new characters that I could watch a show based around.
Right. I agree. And is it safe to say that the behind the dumpsters is the new lower level hangout?
It's not
Yes,
the
I
tunnels
loved
anymore.
that. I loved that, because each different group has their own hangout.
Right.
Oh, and I have a new favorite intern, Shane. I did not realize until my husband was walking across as I was watching the episode alone, which was sad. And he's like, oh, Smash. I flipped out. Smash? That is Smash. That is Smash from Friday Night Lights.
Jules is a fan. I didn't watch Friday Night Lights, but he's a
You
very
guys,
good-looking
it's an
man.
amazing show, and he's the funniest character on that. Completely different than his character now.
Yeah,
He's my new favorite, though.
So moving on to this week, safe to say last week was a really good intern-friendly show. Not a lot of drama, just more, like I said, developing the interns. But this week, man, really was...
Whoa, they
yeah.
brought it. They always do that, right? Before their big break at Christmas, at the holidays, it is just shocking.
Well, they have to have the mid-season winter finale cliffhanger. Okay, when did that start in television?
I
It's like the new
know.
It
trend.
started on Dallas with the end of the season cliffhanger, and I think those are so popular they started doing mid-season
No.
too.
But mid-season hasn't been around for that long, and it's kind of like, when did they start having full seasons that were like 10 episodes? Like, when did that happen?
It's like summer fragrances. Why would I want a summer fragrance of CK1 when, you know, like, it's the same, really? Same thing with the
I don't really think it's like that.
winter finale.
No, I mean, it is, because I love watching television. You know, that's kind of my thing, and so these whole new mid-season finales, I was thinking about that the other day. Like, when did this crap start? Because it's weeks and weeks. I can see it used to go off for like a week, maybe 2 weeks, but now it's like
Damn near
3
a month.
weeks. It's like almost a month before it comes
Yeah,
back.
it's miserable.
It's ridiculous.
Coming in April. Coming in June. Grey's returns.
That's how it is with Mad Men right now. It's literally like a year and a half between
That's like ridiculous, and it's not even a full season. Like, they cut you off in the middle and then bring, like, I don't get it.
What I do love about that, though, is they all come back with like new hairstyles and like, you know, better makeup. It's like they're like rejuvenated. They have like some Botox. Anyways, tonight's show is called Run, Baby Run, and we see a lot of cool things going on. Bailey is getting married in her winter Christmas wedding.
And that's the big buzz about the hospital. And why do these people always work on their wedding day?
Always do.
Because they're doctors. It's 24/7.
Do you think doctors do in real life work on their wedding day,
People are
though?
always dying and sick.
But no, I have a friend who's a doctor who got married. She, for a show, was not at Cedars-Sinai on her wedding, the night for her wedding. But again, every season of Grey's, Yang got her eyebrows shaved off and needed, you know, she needed to cut, so Bailey let her cut. It's just, it's a sickness they have. But talking about Bailey and her marrying Ben, she's apprehensive about it because she has her last marriage failed, you know, and she wants to make sure this lasts and it works. You know, she had a messy divorce with Tucker. She's an adult now. She's an attending. She has all these things going on. And I cannot, for the life of me, I don't see Bailey being married. So she doesn't strike me as the type of character that...
I think since we were introduced to her and she was married originally, I do.
I mean, I do too, and she's a mom, and she's always been kind of the backbone of everyone. So seeing her kind of freak out it's new, and it's a little uncomfortable for me.
Honestly, it's not that I see her single either. I don't see her really single or married. I don't think about her as like a relational lover.
She's asexual, you know?
I don't see that being a driving force in her character, her as a person.
She's not a relationship-driven character. She's not needy in the sense that she's not, throughout the course of the Grey saga, she hasn't been that attached to men. You know, it hasn't been an issue for her. And I love how she's asking people to be her bridesmaids.
That was hilarious.
So genius.
When you get there, just don't sit down. But okay, how did they all get those dresses on such short notice?
I mean, everyone has a cute red dress, Jules.
Not a floor-length gown. I did red floor-length gowns, all different ones, exactly like that. But it took 6 months, lots of crying, lots of fighting.
Well, I mean, in Seattle, Grace Mercy Westland, anything's possible.
Exactly. They're probably in the scrub closet.
Right.
But that was hilarious.
Pull it out.
The best nonchalant, non-cheesy way to ask somebody to be your
How do the
bridesmaid.
interns have these prom ball gowns?
Well, they were just in high school like 3 years ago. That was a Forever 21 special that they've been dying to wear.
Well, I love it when everyone in Grey's gets dressed up because they look incredible.
Yeah, they look great.
Incredible. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, okay, well, now we're talking about the wedding because I guess, you know, Bailey and the wedding. The wedding itself, we'll get to what happens at the end of Grey's, but like you said, Julie, everyone just cleans up so well in Grey's. And I love how they're all trying to, again, these interns have crushes on their attendings, apparently. You know, Edwards can't even look at Avery without falling in jello.
I didn't know she had a crush on him. Was that new information?
I think that's a new development.
Okay,
this week.
but my least favorite thing that April has ever done since she's been on this show was that moment right there.
Yeah.
Where she goes up to him and she's implying that she's so sexy in her strapless dress that's going to be tight that he just won't be able to resist marrying
She's gonna
her
be
right
naked
there
From the
here
waist
up.
And he looks at her like
From the waist
he looks at her like he's being consumed. No, not the waist, shoulders.
From the shoulder.
He looks at her like he's being consumed with desire. So unrealistic. And then right then she asks somebody out so that he won't be so consumed with desire for her. It just didn't fit. It was
I mean, especially
so
if you
irritating.
like break up, like that conversation would ever happen in real life.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to be naked from the neck up. It's going to be so hard.
You are going to be unable to resist me, even though I crushed you and broke up with you.
My Adam's apple is going to be so sexy. Your life will flash before your eyes.
I like her hair though.
Yeah, we liked her hair.
April's hair?
Yeah.
April's hair? Yeah. Well, I mean, all you need is a little John Frieda frizzy and a flat iron. You're good to go. I mean, things can happen at Seattle. I'm sure they have a whole room full of that stuff. Back to the wedding though. So Bailey has a moment with the chief, which, you know what, I am glad that Bailey and the chief have that kind of relationship because it's more like a father-daughter sort of thing.
And it's always been like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's some of the best monologues that Bailey has given us on Grey's have been when she's talking to the chief. One comes to mind when Izzy and George, Izzy has cancer, George gets hit by the bus in the season finale of season 5. And, she's talking about we're all scared. It was Emmy-worthy. It was so powerful that I had to watch it 5 times to make sure I was seeing what I was seeing. And there's just such good writing between those two, and they have such natural chemistry. I don't know who created those characters for them to have that, but it always works. No matter when they're fighting or just in passing, their banter's witty, their jokes are witty. It's just great stuff. So I'm glad to see that they're still keeping that going on Grey's. As far as the wedding goes tonight, it wasn't really that eventful.
Well, I think it was more about the behind of what the wedding meant, I think. Yeah. Because one thing that I found interesting is if Bailey was so against getting married again, and when she decided and accepted, it was more so like Cristina told her, just do it for him.
Right.
But if it was something I really didn't care that much about, or I was a little bit embarrassed about or apprehensive about, why did she get that big dress again?
It wasn't even flattering.
No, but you know what I mean? If it was something she really didn't feel, and so I think deep down, she really does want the big wedding, doesn't want to admit that she does because she's embarrassed about this being her second one. Like, I wonder if that was an underlining thing with her character, because it doesn't make sense. For somebody that doesn't really care, you can still have a nice dress, but it didn't have to be like
the princess dress.
Right, and she went for it again for something she apparently didn't want, really?
I think you hit the nail on the head, Kelly. I think that's probably what the issue, I'm sure it was. What else could have been?
Yeah.
I didn't know until this night that they were planning on living apart.
Well, yeah, because he's in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I guess I had assumed he would relocate back.
Well, no, because he's in school and he's interning and he's going for a different specialty, right?
So, for some reason, it didn't even dawn on me till right then. Of course, she's worried about that.
Yeah,
that's like near impossible. I wonder why they even considered getting married.
Well, they almost broke up because at the end of season 8 in regards to this. So, but I don't know how it's gonna work. But again, that's the magic of television. They'll make it work. So.
They'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out. They'll find it. Moving on.
We'll have a new UCLA show.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Cristina and Owen.
I was very happy with the way that turned out to be tonight.
Yeah?
Really?
Yeah, I was. Well, and we talked about this before. Like, I didn't feel their chemistry before, except when they first got together and the whole ice pick thing and all of that, and they were hot and heavy, and then it got weird because she was always running away, which is something that he said. He tells her, you were done a long time ago. And that's kind of how she's always been. She always just thinks about her own feelings and not how it affects the other person. It's like time stands still for them. She gets to go through whatever she goes through, and they're just supposed to sit there and wait. Not that she really expects that, but I think in her head, she just doesn't think anything differently.
Right. She's so focused on being a surgeon, and that's so important to her that she doesn't want to compromise that. And I also feel like she makes some mistakes, then comes back groveling and, figures out that I love you and, you're my everything, you're my person. But it's like too late. Poor Owen, though. One of the things about Owen that I'm seeing time and time again is he's very vulnerable. He's not as tough and as manly Scottish man as he comes off to be.
Right.
I think he's cried the most out of any guy on the show.
I think he has too. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of him or his character, but that moment when she looked at him and told him that she was wanting to get back together, I really did see this hard exterior melt. He sort of tilted his head to the side like a dog, like, I'd never thought of it before, and I felt that he was very surprised by that.
And he got a little teary-eyed. And
why did Derek know that he was divorcing her? But not.
I don't think that played out either. We'll probably find that out in later.
Well, no, because of the way that the lawsuit was going. Because remember, Derek said he had talked to the lawyer, and the lawyers told him the case was stronger now because of their divorce.
Just like it seemed a weird roundabout way for her to find that out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Or Derek, telling Meredith, who Cristina is supposed to be Meredith's person and should have been her go-to, that he knew before her and that maybe you guys aren't that close anymore. That was kind of a low blow.
But he assumed that they were until she said she didn't know.
Yeah, that's probably foreshadowing. That's not done yet because she still hasn't told her she's pregnant.
Yeah, that's right. She hasn't yet.
So they have this screaming match, which they can really yell at each other, those two. They have epic fights.
Epic fights, but they're almost it's almost too choreographed now. It's always like Cristina is like, so what? You want to leave me? Oh, that's rich. Oh yeah, you know. Oh what? You know, I gave you everything. Seriously.
And he's like, did you really? When you were in Minnesota, wherever you were, really? You gave me everything when you ran away?
And getting on with Rex from Desperate Housewives. But I mean, they're you know, when two people that love each other fight, you can tell that they love each other because the way there's just chemistry there. When they fight, it's just like two people that really do not like each other. They're just, you know, when you fight with someone you don't like, how it's just very cold and guarding. You're just like, you're not gonna come in my space, and you better fall back. That's how they fight. It's just too much. I would rather them not fight.
When they were exploding at each other right after the surgery, I was like, see, they've never worked. They're never happy. They're always screaming at each other. And then a few scenes later.
Well, sometimes the most, you know, when you're two passionate people that do, you know, you have passionate fights, and that, not that I'm saying that I necessarily think that these are passionate fights, but you know what I mean? Sometimes, you know.
Passionate fights, yes. Fighting day and night at that level,
well, it's just because
exhausting.
But it's because they don't talk to each other. That's the underlining thing. It's because they don't communicate with each other. They each keep something from the other, and that's why they really fight.
It's too much ego. It's just way too much testosterone on both parts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she can hang with the best of them. She probably has the biggest balls ever.
I did love how they were all dressed up when she confessed to him, and she looked stunning. And immediately they had this passionate makeout moment. She confessed.
I liked it.
I did too.
Maybe that moment in and of itself I didn't hate, but I don't want this to keep going on. I don't want them to try to make it work anymore.
I like her when she acts like a person.
When she's human.
I like to see that from her, so I was happy about it.
She's one of my favorite characters. Yang is one of my favorite characters because when she finally does open up, it's so refreshing. It feels good. And when she told Owen that, you know, I wanted to work, you know, you asked for a divorce when I was going to come tell you I wanted to work it out. Like I said, I've been in that situation where someone drops a bomb on you, and you're like, well, I was just going to tell you this, but it's too late. And it's not too late for them, but just to finally, when all that emotion, all that anger, and everything that's been building up finally just gets out, and you really say how you truly feel, it hurts, but it's a good kind of hurt because you're like, finally, I don't have to worry about being fake or guarding my feelings. This is how I feel. Because sometimes it's too hard to stay mad at somebody you love. It's too hard. It's too much, and I'm seeing then tonight. That's probably what we saw. It was too hard to stay mad, and that's why they had that intense make out against the wall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there was a little bit of that going on in different relationships because it was kind of the same with Callie in Arizona. Like the struggles that they're dealing with her and her prosthetic and getting used to not having her leg and making that the focus of everything all the time. Yeah. And I can totally relate to Callie's rant and rampage because it's hard. Yes, you can totally empathize with somebody going through that, but you really don't know. And what are you supposed to do? How can you really comfort someone that's going through something like that when in reality you can say you get it, but you really don't?
Because you're not experiencing it.
No. So how there has to be a balance there where you have to figure it out how it can work.
Yeah, Callie, this episode had obviously had it.
Yeah.
She, like, in front of Bailey, the worst person to vent in front of. She was just saying how miserable a marriage can be. And then she finally breaks down, lets loose on Arizona.
And it's needed, and it wasn't...
It was a moment that ended up being what Arizona needed from her wife, because she'd had a kick in the butt from her coworkers. And
you got to hand it to Callie Callie is a strong, wonderful woman. And that's one of the things I like about Grey's, that even though the women have issues, they're still good, positive role models. They still do well, and they still showcase they're strong. By Callie, telling Arizona, you're gonna be. It's good that you're not gonna have a leg, and you're gonna be shorter because then all the girls don't have to worry about being as pretty as you. Like she just made everything.
Leveling out the playing field.
Right, and being supportive, and in the midst of all that, I mean, again, when we say week after week, people have died, been blown up, sliced, missing, plane wrecks, shark attack,
almost drowning.
Yeah, I mean, so
really?
I don't know.
Remember when the icicle went through Cristina?
Yes,
icicle,
everything.
So amidst all all of that, Callie still finds a way to have some comic relief and is still there for Arizona. And it's a testament for people who can watch Grey's and they're going through stuff in their relationships. Watch Grey's. Everything works out if you watch Grey's.
Sorry, go ahead.
And it's not too happy where you can stay in your dark place, but you can still enjoy yourself while you're there.
Yeah.
Well, even when Callie was kind of going off on Arizona at the end, she does like this kind of face like, oh, like, crap, did I go too far?
Arizona looks at her like
really? Like, really?
I think Callie.
But that's kind of like lightened the mood, I think, a little bit. And, and kind of, I think she understood and they kind of came to a compromise there.
And she put on the shoe and they kept it moving.
Yeah. So
Literally.
It's all good.
Arizona, though, since she's, I think the most candid and most fun Arizona has been on her first season back in 2009 when she, the episode's called Beat Your Heart Out, where she followed Callie into the bathroom and, she told her, as soon as you get over being upset, there's people going to be lining up for you. And she was so precocious and lovable. That Arizona I wish would come back. I know she lost a limb. It's hard to lose a limb. But I would love to see more of it. And I hope in the course of season 9, we see Arizona come back to that because even last season before the limb loss, she was still just so. Her and Derek are the same people as far as personal. They go from happy to sad or really bitchy in 2.9 seconds. Just like over when she was talking to the intern, what are you trying to say about your attending?
I know. I liked it when she was a little too happy for her own good. And we haven't seen that Arizona in a long time.
There's not much to be happy about going on over there.
I know. She came to Seattle Grace, Mercy West, and her happiness level just goes down, down.
And you think that with all the drugs they have in that hospital, they would Zoloft, Prozac, Wellbutrin, they would have a cocktail that could really work for them. They have such unlimited access.
I'm glad that they don't. I wouldn't want my doctor.
Says Jason, who's obviously found a cocktail that works for him.
I mean, Prozac is there.
That's how he is sitting here with us today.
Yeah, but Arizona and Callie, and again, they were a relationship that I really wasn't into. Their chemistry wasn't too good in the beginning. It was kind of iffy because, as you know, Erica Hahn was Callie when she was coming out into her, she was a lesbian, and you never really hear Callie then say, I'm a lesbian. She's probably said like 4 times in the course of 3 seasons she's been a lesbian, but that was a really cool storyline. So when Arizona came into the fold, I was like, how is this going to work if Erica Hahn didn't work? And I thought they were a great couple. How is this Arizona going to work? Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan. No.
Honestly, I haven't really liked Callie with anyone as much as I liked her with George.
Oh gosh,
I thought they were so cute.
No.
Right.
Just the clash of him being so sweet, innocent, and breakable versus her being like funky and strong and literally breaking bones.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And we forget that Callie was an heiress. She comes from $1 million family.
Right.
And I always wonder how much these doctors make. You always hear about them saying Derek's $2 million hand or
You should know more than us.
I'm like, but,
doctor family.
Yeah, but they don't make my doctor families don't make $2 million a year.
Maybe that's how much he makes the hospital.
Right.
$2 million a year.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha.
Or maybe his hand's insured for that. I mean, I think Jennifer Lopez's butt is insured for like several million. I'm not even kidding you.
I mean, if she gets cellulite, it just drops. that premium drops.
Your butt stock is plummeting.
Jen, some squats, sweetie. So Derek, Meredith. What a way for Shonda to really bring in the baby thing again. The beginning of the season. It's kind of, and normally babies are a pretty big deal on a show. When someone's pregnant, it's like the whole arc is a season. Guess who's having a baby? Someone's having a baby.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Now it's just like, okay, well, we're pregnant. And something about Meredith's not sitting right with me because she's more concerned about Derek's hand, and when you see her go to the gynecologist to have her checkup, you see a sense of uneasiness. You get a sense of uneasiness.
She's really guarding herself because she's afraid of losing the baby again.
Well, her uterus is hostile.
Yeah, well, and that's what she says. And I think that she's trying to kind of what do you call it? I can't think of the word right now, but keep her mind off of it so she's focusing on his hand instead.
Yeah.
Because she knows that he needs that to get back in the game and for them to kind of go back to some kind of normalcy after all of this mess. And so instead of kind of focusing on the fact that she's pregnant, I think that's one of the reasons why she doesn't want to tell Cristina, because I think as soon as she tells Cristina, then it's really real. So if something happens, it's gonna hit her that much harder.
Sure.
And as weird as that is, it's like once you say it out loud to somebody that really matters to you, then it all just becomes that more real.
Mm-hmm.
Case in point, when Bailey told the chief that I'm divorced, and she's like, I'm sorry, it just took the wind out of me. I had saying it out loud. It made it real. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Enter Derek's sisters. And Julie, you had an amazing discovery tonight. You said that online they have a whole page.
Well, I was trying to read more about the sisters and figure out. We didn't know if we'd seen this one before. We didn't think so because we would remember Neve Campbell.
Seen Nancy and Amelia.
Yeah, and one other.
Catherine.
Good job. Anyway, there's fan fiction out there about all of the Shepherd sisters.
Very nice.
I haven't read it yet. Just found out it existed, but I can't wait to get my hands on it once we get home.
Well, this episode, Derek again is apprehensive about anyone performing the surgery that could repair his $2 million hand. So last episode, we found the sister comes in. She's going to donate a piece of her nerve from one of her legs. And now we found out that her calf is, she's got stumps. Her calf is too short to donate, so they have to cut into both legs, and Derek's not having it. And Meredith, campaigns with the sister to do this.
And the sister, in what I thought was a good, close family moment, I loved being a part of that, is kind of manipulating Meredith into having a relationship with her, using the nerves as her bargaining chip.
Yeah.
And she had some great points. You're our sister. You haven't let us see Zola yet. You didn't tell us about any of it. We invited you. You didn't come. You haven't invited us to her house. I thought she called her out, and that's what you got to do in family.
Yeah.
And it got uneasy for Meredith, though, because when the sister brought up Lexi, Meredith's like, I'm not talking about this.
Yeah.
I can't do this.
Shut her down.
Shut her down, which was for, maybe I understand the Lexi story or the Lexi drama is still probably very new for them in their world. But no,
But us, no.
We're over it. No, but in their world, I'm sure. I've never lost a sibling. God forbid. I've never lost a sibling. So I'm sure for Meredith it's still very painful. But for the sister to really take it there, it was like she tried it.
Yeah, she did.
And, after she told Meredith what was up, she was like, oh, and you had Derek told me you had a sister that worked in the hospital. It was just like, whoa, lady.
Yeah, that was a step too far.
You're brand new. Calm down.
I get it. She's trying to get a relationship with her, but don't go there immediately.
But they've already been together for quite a while. So at this point, I'd probably be feeling the same way and be like, okay, look, you are a part of our family. Something's got to give here. So I kind of get that because, they've been together for a long, breaking up of the marriage and the divorce from, that he went through and all of that. So it's about time.
Honestly, once there's kids involved too, she's like, these are my brother's kids.
Yeah.
I should get to meet them.
Yeah. But I get it too. She's messed up and it took her a long time to open up to Lexi and have that relationship. So for her to open up, bring her in as family, consider her sister, deal with all of that, and then for that to be taken away
is a lot.
And I don't think she wants to do that again, and that's why she doesn't.
And she stated, Kelly, she said, you guys are shepherds. We're grays. We don't act like that. That's not how we roll.
Plus, she's probably like, don't get close to me or you'll die in a few seasons.
I know.
It could be of hiccups, but you will die.
You will fart and you'll have a heart attack. That will be your fate.
I would like to see the sister around more. I doubt it, but I liked her. I like this character.
More of the sisters.
I like
all of them.
Yeah, I like their sentimental moment at the end when, she comes in and after the surgery's done and she finally is like, okay, fine, I'll try this.
Yeah.
That was the moment.
Yeah, I thought that was a great
when she showed
moment.
her the ultrasound of her fabulous clutch. That was the moment, Kelly, and I teared up.
Yes, I thought that was so sweet.
It was really sweet.
I like how she had that clutch. Again, that was probably in a closet somewhere, in the hospital with the ultrasound. Like, does she carry that purse everywhere with her? Is that her daily purse? Like, here's my Michael Kors clutch with my picture.
But the fact that she carries that the picture of the ultrasound around with her, she's happy about this and hopeful and scared at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think that was super cute.
I agree.
That was cute that she was carrying it around.
AfterBuzzers, hey, go to iTunes and rate us and tell a friend. I'm glad to say we are in top 10 this week. Thank you for making us there. Yes. Rate us, leave us comments, and if you have any cool Grey's Anatomy facts that we don't know or we're missing, leave them there for us too. We love to hear new stuff. You can see us on YouTube, iTunes, tell a friend, and if you have iOS devices, they can download the app on your iPhone and iPad. So you can get all your AfterBuzz podcasts right then and there.
I'm going to do that later.
Yes, I have it. It's awesome.
We really do love your guys' comments. You seem to know as much as us.
For sure. 5 stars. We don't accept anything less. If you give us 5 stars, I will hunt you down. Trust me. I'm young, black, and angry. America's worst nightmare. So moving back on, you guys.
In plaid.
Yeah, in plaid.
Whatever. You So but Meredith, I think this season I'm liking her the most because she's finally mature and she's taking such a high road on everything. There's such an energy about her that she's never had before. You know, she's not dark and twisty anymore, and she's actually looking more. She's coming across very commanding and very womanly. Meredith was always kind of a little frumpy. She even had a weird walk. Was it me? Did she have like a waddle? Like when she walked, it was a waddle. It was a waddle.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Yeah.
It was definitely a very timid kind of not self-confident, and I think that she's kind of gotten a bit more confidence. And to me, she's kind of coming across as a form of what Bailey used to be for them. Like she's kind of, you know, the mother figure of everybody and giving that kind of motherly advice. Because right now Bailey's kind of off and freaking out about her own life. And I think that Meredith's kind of, you know, filling the role of being a mother and what that means and going through that kind of
That was her destiny. I think Meredith's destiny was to be a mother because I didn't think when Zola came into the picture, I was like, how is Meredith? How is she going to handle a baby?
I don't know if it was her destiny to be a mother, but just everything that she went through with her own family of origin and her own mother, it's for sure restoration.
Yeah.
It's restoration for us as viewers and for her as a character.
I wish Cristina would have had a baby. I would have loved to see that.
She did literally everything she could to prevent that.
Yeah, that would have been really cool. I think Cristina's storyline is probably one of the weakest. It's probably one of the one that's really hard to get into. Everyone this season's flowing famously.
Yeah.
It's just the way, you know, it's seamless, it's smooth until we come to Crowan.
No, at this point in time, I would rather hear about April's dress for 2 minutes than hear about Crowan.
I feel so differently. I like it because I like the slow progression of it because it's her becoming a human, becoming a married woman, a wife, and all of that and what that means, realizing what that means.
You think that's where this is headed?
I think so. At least that's the way that I'm taking it. Is that, well, even if they don't stay together, but just realizing that she wants a relationship. She wants to love somebody. And, you know, I think actually opening up to other people, teaching the interns and not, you know, being so cold like she used to be. I kind of like that. It's opening up her character in a different way and it's not so dramatic. And it's kind of nice to have a little chill kind of storyline instead of something so crazy all the time.
I don't want to watch it happen anymore, but I guess if in the end that's where this goes, where we see them both become people that learn how to be married to each other and learn how to compromise and learn how to communicate, I'll watch it. I'm in. If that's where this is headed.
Okay.
That's fair. So the show, tonight's episode culminates with, you know, the wedding. Everyone's going to the wedding. We see Miranda Bailey with, I guess, her sisters or her friends or girlfriends. You know,
I
getting her
assumed
ready.
mom.
I thought it was family. Yeah.
My auntie. They're getting her ready for her wedding. Miranda cleans up well, and I will say that I do enjoy her hairstyles this season. I think they finally, because she had a blunt cut one season. I was like, why they make her look more Oompa Loompa-ish than she already is? You know what I'm saying? I'm serious.
Give her some style.
One other thing before we talk about that crazy part, there was that, you know, Three's Company mishap where he asked out the doctor. Mm-hmm. Jackson asked out the doctor. Turns out she had a big crush on him. Karev needed a date, so she asked Dr. Joe, and it turned out Karev and Joe hated each other at this moment. Do you guys think that's foreshadowing? Do you think that they're...
Yeah, for sure.
You think Joe and Karev too?
Well, they had already kind of touched on that a few episodes ago when they had this weird moment, and then he tells her, "I'm not going to sleep with you," and then after he finds out about her life, he kind of eased up on her a little bit.
You don't think it'll be too similar to Karev and Izzy?
Well,
I think it's so similar.
I've always thought that's what they were going for, and and this is strictly just my personal opinion, I kind of think Chandra's doing that kind of on purpose because
she's
Chris
still
Katherine
mad.
Heigl said she would be open to coming back, and then
Chandra's like, no.
Yeah, and I kind of think that it might be a little bit of a dig.
She's like replaced.
I think it's funny, and if that is the case, I mean, right on. That's what she gets. But like I said, that's just my personal opinion. I just find it funny.
Well,
but I think it's a very
they do even
similar
look like each other.
Yeah, they do.
Shonda Rhimes actually talked about, you know, the whole thing with Oprah.
Right.
With Oprah about she has a no a-hole policy, and you know, and people that I've talked to that have worked in that camp, it's the truth. Shonda is like the Oprah of ABC right now, and so, you know, what she says goes, and Catherine pretty much shot herself in the foot. And I mean, how do you go? You're nominated for an Emmy. First of all, I loved Izzy. Izzy was probably one of the best characters on Grey's.
Still.
Katherine Heigl is an amazing actress. But how are you on at the time, one of the #1 dramas on TV?
It was literally rated one of the top 10 shows by almost every major critic and publication in the country.
Nominated for an Emmy, and you say I'm leaving the show because I feel that I don't deserve to be nominated for an Emmy and the writing isn't up to par. What are you smoking?
Yeah, I'm gonna retract myself from this.
Yeah,
I'm
that
gonna withdraw my
yeah.
nomination.
Yeah.
I do find Katherine Heigl refreshing because she's not all polished all the time.
Yeah.
But that was rude.
But that is just
crossing a line.
unappreciative, and whatever is going on there, like, things are gonna happen. You're not always gonna see eye to eye with people that you work with. There's always gonna be something wrong, and it doesn't necessarily mean that she's a jerk all the time, or she's a bad person, or a snooty actress, or whatever.
Yeah.
But don't air your dirty laundry to everybody.
Right.
I mean, have some tact. Be a little classier.
That's
than that.
literally hundreds to thousands
But
of
she
people
did-
whose jobs that she was sort of discounting.
And she did the same thing with Knocked Up. She talked smack on that. So it's like everything that helped build her, all she wanted to do was kick it. And I think it was just a little bit of an ego thing. And she apologizes for it later and, realizes that she shouldn't have acted like that. But
The damage is done. But I mean, but back to Shonda and Karev and
the
Joe.
aha moment of the night, they all looked so smoking hot.
I know.
Especially Dr. Edwards.
I was
She
blown
went
away.
from little glasses,
I know.
little, Cindy Lou Who, to this stunning girl.
Stunning.
They all look so amazing. Even
Amazing.
April, who I was hating on for bragging about how pretty she was gonna looked amazing.
Yeah, they clean up very well on Grey's. I mean, again, Edwards, I thought she was going to, have the glasses on, be like, hi, okay, I'm ready for the ball. No, she gave me Tyra Banks realness. Just a hair press, weave, smoky eye,
She did. She
cleavage.
literally walked in smizing.
Yeah, really, really good. And then, Edwards Joe, when Joe came out of the bathroom in that black dress, hair all fanned, I was like, yes, Grace.
Smoky eyes.
You
Yeah.
know, it just,
And the
that's-
guys walk down the hall like dual bond.
Yeah.
Fitted,
Hotties.
nice fitted suits. But I'm sorry. Being, if I see a hot female that looks amazing, I'd love nothing more than to be like, you look stunning, because I appreciate when a woman gets it together and just, there's nothing more breathtaking than a beautiful woman. And these dudes, they're like looking at these interns like, okay, you're all right.
I think Avery was blown away though.
Yeah, I think he was too.
He didn't say it, but I think he was speechless because he was really like, well, that's quite a transformation. I don't even want to ask her out.
I think they both were, and I think Karev is just such an ass that he
Right.
just can't admit it.
Well, they had just went through it. They had went through a
which
lot.
we haven't even really talked
Yeah.
about. So we should talk about that because of what happened there in that surgery. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that he had a little bit of a thing for her and that's why he gave her all that responsibility, or was he really trying to teach her something the way that he explained?
Maybe a hybrid of both. I'm sure. But like he told Arizona, he was trying to give her what Arizona gave him, that tough love, that experience, because he believed in her. He was taking a risk on her. And I thought when she went to tell Arizona that, he tried to set me up, I was like, no, sweetie, it's all wrong. You're doing it. Yeah, I didn't think. Why would Krev has never been that type of guy to do that sober? Yes, he sold Meredith out when he was drunk about the clinical trial.
Yeah. But he was mad. And,
right.
Yeah.
But now when he's sober, he has a lot. Believe it or not, he has the most integrity, I think, out of a lot of the characters on the show.
It's once he started working with babies.
Right.
Yeah,
Babies did it, made him all soft.
Changed him.
So I didn't agree with her doing that to Arizona. And again, Arizona going all bipolar, like, what are you trying to say about your attending? Crazy. But I think
Well, she was accusing him of something, and
Right.
she's like, "Get to the point. What
Right.
are you trying to accuse him of?" Because that's something very serious. Because if that patient would have died, that would have been okay.
What
So
I
are you
didn't see
really-
coming was when she went and then approached Karev with the same level of anger.
yeah.
Well, because she wants to know. I mean, did you do this on purpose? What were you trying to do? Because he's not a nurturing person, which she pointed out. I get what you're doing, but you can't say, okay, here, do this, let's learn, and then the first mistake, you're an idiot, get out of the way.
Well, they've always
So,
done that, though.
Yeah.
Like Bailey and 007.
Get out. Somebody screams, get out every
Right.
every
Yeah.
time.
Or
Yeah.
go now.
Yeah.
Stat.
Get her out of my
No,
what a gallery.
Yeah.
Get her out.
Please get him out of the OR. Yeah, it's just crazy.
But I didn't like either that, and I get it, they're interns are the first big things, but I mean, if you are, the interns are always cocky, think they know more than they do, and that's one thing that kind of bothered me about them when they first came on the show. So even now when they're messing up and she freezes and her hands can't stop shaking and she's just standing there and this kid is, his life is in their hands and she can't even get it together. And then she runs off and complains because she couldn't pull herself together.
Yeah.
She wants to blame it on him.
Right.
That's not okay.
Not okay at all. I didn't agree with.
She should have talked to him about it first and said, "Why did you put me in this situation?" before running and tattling
Exactly.
on her.
I was Team Karev.
Yeah, for sure.
Once he said his intentions behind giving her that role in the surgery, I believed him 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think he did it because he liked her. I don't think he did it because they had similar backgrounds and then rose above. I think he was trying to teach her like Arizona taught him.
Right. They were both dump diving orphans.
Dumpster diving.
Well, because I think that
You've
because
obviously never been.
because of her drive, putting herself through school and put like all that, he felt, okay, you are focused. You tried this hard to get where you are. I can trust you. You're going to pay attention. You're going to learn, and we'll obviously.
They'll be
Yeah, no.
okay. They'll recover.
Yeah.
I mean, she's too hot. He can't pass that up. I would just forgive her on that smoky eye alone. But the wedding. Moving on to the wedding.
Oh, wait, last thing, Derek had his surgery.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes.
Finally.
Yeah, I know.
Stop hating
I'm not.
on
I'm
my
just-
McDreamy right now.
McDreamy. Oh, we can't. We have to call him Derek. We got flamed from an AfterBuzz that says that they do
You
not.
got
Only
flamed.
only when you get them wrong.
And then the time he looks in the camera, I won't ever call him McSteamy. Ah, I did it again.
McJuicy. McWet.
No.
I know.
No, but he had his surgery after he was complaining and
Got two calf nerves from the sister.
You're not doing it. You're not doing it. It happened. And I think that now he's going to get his crap together and he feels better because he even says, I think this might
Gonna work. Yeah, he was hopeful as well. It's a season of hope.
Well, and I liked before he went into his surgery too, where, Callie was telling him, you don't have anything to worry about. And he tells her, you don't have anything to worry about. So,
Yeah, and she was very confident.
Yeah. Well, even though, even no matter what happens, I'm not going to blame this on you.
Yeah.
That kind of reassurance, which I think
Yeah,
is
so
good.
glad that's over. I'm sure we'll see him in the operating room.
Yeah, that $2 million hand. They should give him a bionic hand. Like, I don't know, Grace, they have these machines, like the Da Vinci, that machine that came out, that Bailey named Leo, that does,
Oh, right.
They could have given him a bionic hand. That would have been really, really cool. It would have been a really, really, really good addition to the show. So we're at Bailey's house. She's coming down in her long dress and her hair extensions, makeup done great. And
It was a huge plot that she wants to drive herself to her wedding.
Who does that? Who does that?
Because she doesn't really want to get married in that big princess dress.
I know. So many things about that.
But around the,
Well, it's so give and take, I think, because on one hand she's in this big dress. On the other hand, I just want to drive myself and get, I need time by myself.
Right.
So I think it was the push and pull of what she's feeling.
yeah, could you imagine seeing someone driving down the street in like a Jeep Grand Cherokee and a wedding gown?
I actually did before. I did a shoot, a bridal shoot, and I was driving my husband's Ford F-150. People were literally like, they thought I was a runaway bride. I was looking for parking in Santa Monica, like, this is fine.
Well, I mean, drag queens drive in their cars all the time. I mean, my friend was a drag queen. She got pulled over in drag. It's like, this is my job. The limo pulls up.
I
and
love that.
Me too.
I wish they were actually real father-daughter.
I know. It kind of, honestly, it made me a little sad because my parents are divorced, and so I never had those dad experiences. And even though, I would never have my dad pull up in a limo and for prom, but just to have someone like that male figure to care and to make sure you're okay and stuff. It was very touching, and I'm sure she was relieved, and he was going to give her away. He was going to be walking her down the aisle, and it was very touching. And so they, of course, in Grace, you cannot have it's very seldom or very rare that you have a Grace episode that actually ends on a very positive, happy note. Everyone's alive, no blood loss.
When they got in there and they were sitting in the car all happy, Jason goes, "Oh great, here
Here it
comes
comes.
the sinkhole."
A sinkhole, tornado, earthquake.
Yeah.
Someone gets shot.
Literally flying through the front of a car. We've seen that.
Callie,
Yes. Oh my, right. That's right.
I mean,
No moments of pure happiness.
No.
No, I mean,
those are what leads to
God
the doom.
forbid someone
It's
be happy on the show.
impossible.
Yeah. It's the greatest curse. And we get a call from someone saying that Adele, that the chief's wife, Adele, is in the emergency room throwing up blood.
We knew that right when the phone rang. That was what it was
Adele.
going to be.
Yeah.
Well, I knew it was going to be drama because I saw Loretta Devine's name in the credits. And for the last couple episodes, she's been, she's not all there anymore. So,
Yeah, she doesn't come on the show lightly.
Yeah.
Right. So and I'm thinking with the way things are going, why would they have the chief, after he's been dating Catherine Avery, why would he go back? You know, why? It just didn't make sense. I was like, wow, she lost a limb. She lost a limb.
Yeah, something happened.
And sure enough, she's in there spitting up blood, and Bailey reacts as a surgeon. Driver, turn this limo around. Seattle, Grace, Mercy West now. As she's supposed to be going to her wedding, where everyone's flawlessly, impeccably dressed, waiting for her.
And nobody thinks as they're driving there, because there's time from wherever they are to get to the hospital. There's at least 2 seconds that she could have called somebody and let them
Anyone
know
could
what
have called
happened.
anyone.
Yes,
Right.
and
There were ways.
and they're trying to call her and they can't get through. And they get into the hospital, see what's going on, assess the situation. The chief wants to operate. He can't. That's his wife. He can't do it. So of course she's gonna step in, gets out of the dress. Forget the wedding. I've got to be a doctor.
Handles it.
And then we are cut immediately to this beautiful wedding scene. Christmas wedding win, by the way.
I know, it was so pretty.
And Callie is talking about, I may have told her that you could bail out at the last minute. She was nervous. And who hears but, of course, Ben.
Ben.
How nervous.
I know. Wait. Callie, how nervous was she? No, how nervous was she?
How nervous was she? Yeah,
And then
he
it's
repeated
silence.
it twice.
And then boom, there you go. And that was it for the winter finale of Grey's Anatomy.
For a month.
Till January 10th.
So we don't know what Adele's issue is. We don't know what's going on. We don't know.
But I did point out when we were watching, Kellie predicted one of our first episodes that Adele would die this season.
Well,
did.
it's about time. No offense. I'm serious. I'm sorry.
She doesn't have to die.
No, or not so much die, but it's again I understand the parallel and the similarities and the synergy between Ellis having Alzheimer's and now Adele has it, and it's kind of like this karmic thing, and
Right.
but it's like, okay, let her move on. She's like the straggler character. I thought, I thought the chief was gonna get it on with Catherine Avery again, and we'd be done with it. Adele would have been done. So I don't think she's gonna die though. I don't think she's
I'm
gonna die.
more. I think she did. I think she will. We'll save that for.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Well, and now that brings us to predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Go ahead, Kelly O. What do you predict?
I predict that, well, we saw a little bit from the preview. Avery's going to get it on with the intern. He's going to get it on with Edwards after the wedding or in this, I'm sure they're going to have a reception since everybody's
Good.
there.
Finally,
So,
somebody that's fawning over him. As
yes,
he deserves.
And I think the same is going to happen with Karev eventually. I don't think it'll necessarily happen this quickly, but I think there'll be a little something with him and Joe.
Good. Yeah, I agree.
And still feel the same about Adele?
I do. I think they're gonna have to wrap that storyline up somehow. I don't think
Wrap it up.
I don't think she's gonna make it. She's got the client list to deal with. I don't think she's gonna be popping back over.
She's on a lot of stuff.
I know she's
Dollar
busy.
Divine is a busy one. Who's your agent? She books.
I know.
Yeah.
I agree. I think Adele's a goner. I think Meredith will have this baby. Mm-hmm. I think that both those couples that went to the wedding tonight are going to end up having relationships.
Uh-huh.
And
Well,
I think
and that's
Rowan,
gonna cause a whole drama with that crazy Leah chick, right?
not only with the crazy Leah chick, but also April. She's not going to be none too happy about
she's
that.
She's gonna be jealous, yeah.
And I actually don't know if Bailey's going to end up marrying Ben.
I don't know. I think
Maybe they will. Oh, this is my prediction. They will, but it will be more like the wedding Bailey wanted originally. Something chill, a good moment like the post-it note wedding.
Well, the post note wedding wasn't chill though. That was a whole monument. The post note was
Okay, I shouldn't say chill. I should say
like Crow wedding.
non-traditional, a non-grandiose wedding that we've come to expect.
Right.
God,
Yeah.
the post note wedding, that was epic. I predict that Cristina and Owen will continue to have turbulence. Pun, the crowd. Just kidding. That they will have turbulence. I do think that Ben and Bailey will work it out. They'll work it out. As far as interns go, whatever. I mean, I'm sure they'll get it on with the attendings. I mean, it's only the nature of Grey's.
Do you think April and Shane will get it on?
April.
No, definitely not.
That'd be hot, though.
Shane is left for me.
Dude, April likes some chocolate. April, she knows what's up. But I also feel that why can't I talk? What's wrong with me? That the Derek and Meredith baby situation situation. I think something's going to go on with that. I think that there might be, the baby might be in peril, or.
No.
I mean, I don't wish
I
that.
think she's going to be fine. I think his hand's going to come back too.
You think this is a season of goodwill for Meredith?
Yeah. I mean, not eternally.
But
I do think they'll have this baby, and I do think he'll get his hand back.
Well, good. So,
Maybe the sisters will die, all 4 of them. But I think those 2 things will be fine.
and now it's time for news and gossip, ladies and gentlemen.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Well, I was doing my Grey's homework this afternoon, and we're finding out that we're getting a new McHottie on Grey's Anatomy coming soon. And I was trying to find his name, and it's...
Hold up, you have his name.
Well, no, I'm looking for it right now. Sorry, AfterBuzzers. I had this up. I tried to print it, and my printer was not working, so let me find it real quick. He's actually going to be a new attending on the show starting in January.
I guess to replace that one of Christina's that I loved that we haven't seen since.
Let's see.
Yeah, and he's gonna cause a little ruckus in the OR and like around the hospital too with the ladies, isn't he?
Yes, we know. AfterBuzz, what we'll do is I will tweet it, and you can follow us on Twitter.
Right.
And so we'll give the name and everything on Twitter, and we'll also talk about it on YouTube when they post the videos and whatnot.
Also, speaking of Twitter,
yes,
both the chief and Jesse, which I know his real name in real life.
Jesse Williams.
Yeah. Both tweeted a picture of them in the boardroom with some new person that they think is an EMT.
Nice.
So Coco Press thinks that it's an EMT. They don't know who it is, but for some reason they both felt the need to tweet a picture of this woman.
Ooh, so I mean something's brewing over there in Seattle.
Yeah, she's like a middle-aged African-American woman. I don't know what's going to come of it.
Nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The holiday edition winter finale of Grey's Anatomy Season 9 double recap.
Oh, we will miss you guys.
We will be back January
1 month.
10th.
Enjoy your holidays. Cherish your families.
Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all that good stuff.
All that good stuff. Ladies, where can they find you guys?
I'm Julie Partin. Find me on Twitter at JuliePartin.
And you can follow me at Kellie with an IE079.
And I'm Jason J. Carter. You can find me on Twitter at JJC Forever and on Facebook at the Jason J. Carter fan page. Until next time, you guys keep watching Grey's. We'll keep giving you the scoop on it. Smooches.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later. Buzz you later. Buzz you later. I'm sorry for that.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.